Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchtime Series with me, Kevin Britz, leading the charge with insights, information, and ultimately effective results. Joining me in today's marketing and leadership segment, marketing and communications expert and co-host, Craig Pagely. How are you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm great, thank you. And here we are, our first show of December 24, 2 shows in the month, and then we wrap it for the year. I know you've been a bit ill the past few days. Hope you're feeling better and ready to embrace the onslaught to year end.
Yeah, I think it's a definite sign that I need a bit of a holiday to calm down and get my brain out of stress work mode. But yes, back on the mend, and yeah, we'll make it happen and hopefully go on holiday soon. Well, it's I think 12 days left until I go on holiday, so I can't wait.
Yeah, 15 days, 20th of December, wrapping for the year.
But I also am excited about 2025. So much possibility and potential happening.
Yes.
I've joined Hello Coach and as one of their brand ambassadors, and so that's kicking off in a big way, which is really exciting. The TV series is still happening and moving in the right direction. We just need to get it around the corner, kind of like.
Yeah. I think the next 2 weeks, sort of hopefully next week, when things wane a little bit from a paying job point of view, be able to really unpack those last few requirements and get that heading in the right direction.
Absolutely. Craig, last week we wrapped up with the theme of the dichotomy of leadership. What do we have in store?
Kevin, yeah, thanks. So for today, I want to share some important findings from a really great report that I received from Qualtrics XM, titled Qualtrics 2025 Consumer Trends Report. Just to set some context, Kevin, Qualtrics is an online survey tool that enables users to, quoting directly from their site, build and distribute surveys, collect responses, and even analyze response data, all from the same platform. And Qualtrics XM is the experience management software. So Qualtrics experience management gives users the tools to ask the right questions, to listen to what people need, and respond with the right actions every time. And I like that, every time. Yeah. We call it empathy at a scale. Others just call it good business, so they say on their site. And that's a really great term of reference, empathy at a scale. So when you're listening, responding, and bringing the right actions every time, that really supports the proposition of empathy. Kevin, the report was compiled by a cohort of 12 contributors. A lot of names to reference, but all names are referenced on page 3 of the report.
So tell us, what is the consumer, or at least what does the report tell us about consumer trends?
Yeah, Kevin, so I just want to set some context again by looking at the introduction points noted. And these set the context as following. Since the launch of our Consumer Trends Report 4 years ago, we've seen the effects of a global pandemic, inflation-led economic uncertainty, and the rise of AI. But as the consumer landscape evolves, one thing remains, and this is important to note: the importance of forging genuine, lasting connections with consumers, whether that be face-to-face, on the phone to an agent, or scrolling through your website. Forging genuine, lasting connections. As this year is no different, our 2025 Consumer Trends Report, with responses from 23,730 consumers across 23 countries and regions, shows how valuable understanding of connecting with consumers is to business success.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, Craig. Like that, the forging that lasting sort of journey with your clientele. I think that's such an important factor. So it's going to be interesting at how this unpacks and what it has to share. What do we know about how successful brands were delivering customer experience last?
Yeah, good question, Kevin. And the report really provides a simple diagram that depicts the year-on-year comparison across 4 key pillars, and these are referenced throughout the report. And they actually are a measure of the state of customer experience moving into 2025. So those 4 pillars are satisfaction, trust, recommend, and purchase more. And it's lovely to see the segue from the beginning. If there's satisfaction, it inevitably comes around on the basis of trust. The more trust there is, the more you can recommend it, the more of the recommendations come in play, the more purchases they're going to be. So giving a quick snapshot on the projections for each of those 4 pillars, we understand that there's an expected 76 satisfaction percentage achievement in terms of customer experience in 2025, moving up 0.4% percentage points from 2024. There's an expected 73% trust factor in terms of customer experience in 2023, interestingly moving down 1.2 percentage points from 2024. There's an expected 70% recommendation in terms of customer experience in 2025, again moving down 1.5% in 2024. And finally, there's an expected 9% more in terms of customer experience in 2025, also moving down 1.3 percentage points from 2025. Yeah, and these 3 of the 4 pillars moving downwards is a clear indicator that brands are not ready to leverage these genuine lasting connections with customers, again, whether it be it face-to-face, on the phone to an agent, or actually scrolling through websites. And really, in my mind, Kevin, these should be easy areas for any business or brand.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to see that trust is such a big one of the factors that they're actually measuring by, because it's such an important part of why people would go back to a brand in the first place, right?
100% correct, Kevin, yes.
Well, what are the actual trends listed in the report?
So, Kevin, the 5 trends are trend 1 is heightened expectations fuel a decline in loyalty. Interesting link there. Trend 2 is consumers are clear, go back to basics, and brands really need to lean in and listen to that. Trend 3 is feedback falls to a new low. So there seems to be some kind of breakdown and disconnect, and brand users are not willing to share the feedback. Trend 5 is AI hype gives way to something we probably do expect to a large degree. And trend 5 is today's consumers want privacy and personalization, not an unknown expectation. So, Kevin, I'm going to reference directly from the report for these 5 trends, and I want to dive into trend 1, which is heightened expectations fuel a decline in loyalty. And here we note that businesses will see huge upside by improving experience in 2025. So after 3 years of rising prices, consumers have definitely experienced less disposable income, and they are absolutely expecting more from the brands that they spend their money with. So failure to meet these expectations will definitely lead to brands being punished. And over 1 in 2 bad experiences will result in customers actually cutting their spend. 53% of respondents noted that, Kevin. So brands need to ensure that they're delivering the best experience. Otherwise, 53% of consumers are going to disengage with that brand and walk away after a bad experience, Kevin. And this is an increase of at least 2.7 percentage points from 2024. So it's a big factor. But really, it's about understanding what actually good or a bad experience. And here we learn that a big component is actually how well you deliver on your value proposition and on that brand vision. And less luxurious brands can take note, fare just as well as the premium competitors, as success lies in how well you do what you say you're going to do. Is the promise being delivered? As simple as that. Moving from a 1 or 2 star experience to a 3-star experience results in a 1.6 times increase in the likelihood to purchase again. So there it is. If those ratings are in place and you're seeing an improvement in rating, one star movement up will enable a 1.6% increase in the likelihood to purchase again. That's what brands want. That's almost 15% higher than the bump you're going to get to moving from a 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 star. The biggest opportunity here, Kevin, comes from just meeting expectations accurately. When you're delivering against your promise, the trust factor really play. There's no doubt about that. So there's in each of the trends, there's a lovely view on the ground reference, and some by analysis, some by advice points. And the view on the ground for trend 1 is firstly, because nice to have industries like hotels, fast food, and retails face more severe financial consequences to the for poor experience. These brands really are seen to invest more in customer experience and deliver fewer negative interactions compared to the need to have industries like banks, internet providers, and utilities. And interestingly, The negative interactions are about 9% at those brands that are investing heavily, like the the fast food retail. What is the word I'm looking for here? Hospitality. That's the word. Thank you. Whereas there's a 14% expectation on negative experience on the likes of banks, internet providers, and utilities, Kevin. Another analysis point here is while there's a huge upside in improving experience, continuous process. This is because as you raise the bar, consumers get used to it and they therefore expect a further shift. Falling short of these new expectations will inevitably result in consumers looking for that experience elsewhere. So continuous improvement is a critical factor for success here.
Are you ready to unlock your team's true potential and drive sustainable growth? The Leader as Coach program is designed to transform the way you lead. Imagine reducing staff turnover by empowering your employees to thrive. Leaders who coach inspire commitment, not just compliance. Effective coaching enhances communication across your organization, breaking down silos and building stronger connections. The result? Greater employee engagement, teams that are motivated, aligned, and ready to deliver exceptional results. Sustainable growth starts with how you lead. Let's build leaders who coach and inspire. For more information about the Leader as Coach program, go to www.kevinbritz.com.
AI-based is making the seamless personalization experience more and more part of day-to-day repertoire with that brand, Kevin.
It's such an important point because I think this works at a micro scale level and it also works at a macro scale level. Because,
great point.
To give you a simple example, we went for date night the other night, and we're sitting at a restaurant. And within the environment we were sitting, you'd kind of expect that a certain amount of expectation that comes with this brand or this type of restaurant, the service in itself would be really good. At a little micro level, we weren't getting served within 15 minutes of sitting down. People were just walking around us and nobody paid attention to us. And we kind of like, okay, well, I think we should leave. Let's leave. And we just went to the next restaurant and they gave us the very opposite kind of service, right? So as consumers, at a micro level like that, it already starts with that. It's a simple thing about just acknowledging your client base and your loyalty base right there.
Absolutely.
And we got really good service at the other restaurant. I would happily go back because my expectation is set to kind of within the first 10 minutes of me arriving, serve, show up and deliver a great service because I then recommend it and I would definitely go back. So I can see, and I think the other thing that people are not realizing about high expectations is people are getting good at getting better. So brands are getting better at being, at doing what they do better. And at this point in the world, we need brands to be exceptional, and that's what's really going to fuel that loyalty base. And if it's not, we'll find it where someone is exceptional because that's the competition we're delivering at.
Absolutely, and that talks exactly to the principle of that particular trend. The other piece is you probably didn't write a review of negative commentary on the restaurant and that then talks to one of the points we highlighted in the opening section where, the feedback loop is reducing. But jumping into trend 2, which is consumers are clear, go back to basics. And Kevin, this is really about clearly communicating. It is a perfect segue. Clearly communicate, set the expectation, and deliver if you want to build trust. So your trust has been eroded in restaurant 1, your trust is being built on restaurant 2. And here we learn that one of the best bets you can make in 2025 is to focus on building that trust with your customers. And in this year's study, trust matters to consumers a lot. And it serves as a timely reminder to rather focus on the next best thing. You need to get the basic elements rather than focus on the next best thing. You need to get the basic elements of the experience right to build that rock solid foundation, those you serve. And then restaurant 1 obviously has just totally missed that in its entirety. And at the heart of building trust is this clear, honest, reliable communication. Communication is the underlying principle in all of this. It's a hugely important factor throughout all of the touch points in the customer journey, from marketing all the way through to your customer support. If you talk the talk, make sure you walk the walk too. Lovely reference. Yeah, communication again is essential to an effective experience. By getting it right, you'll improve the satisfaction and inevitably build trust, Kevin, setting the pathway to building a long-term customer loyalty with you, and obviously increased customer loyalty means more spend, and inevitably you're going to recommend it to more people as well, Kevin. And from the research group, 61% noted the priority for consumers in the information provided when interacting with companies. So trust, prioritize, and all the other factors should really fall into. However, while communication is a big priority, consumers, businesses are definitely falling short in meeting this mark, with communication issues cited as the number 2 reason for a bad experience. The number 1 issue in 7 out of 20 industries that they reviewed, take note, 7 out of 20, huge percentage. And this was only behind delivery. So delivery being met, communication being met, good. When those 2 fail, you're definitely on the way to the bottom. Some of the reasons cited for poor experience, according to the consumers in the report, is 46% noted that service delivery is a critical issue, 45% noted that communication problems are a critical issue, 39% noted employee interaction, and 37% noted pricing concerns, 35% noted the product quality failure, 21% noted purchase support as an issue, and 0.3% noted none of the above. So less than 0.5% of consumers surveyed had no issue with any of those. Those businesses in that very segment definitely will be the shining stars, Kevin.
Great. But what I like about this point is it's back to base. It's not asking. Consumers are not asking us to recreate the wheel.
Absolutely.
Do the things that make effective communication and really understanding who your consumer is. How do you deliver that service? I mean, one of the leadership programs that we work, specialist leadership program, every single year, we get the feedback, we look at what needs to improve, and we improve it, right? So year on year, we recalibrate and relook at how we can do things better.
Continuous learning, absolutely.
And it's consistently showing up and being better than we used to be. But it's still, back to basics. It's not recreating the wheel. Just get the things right you should be getting right.
Absolutely. So looking at the view on the ground, a bit of advice and analysis here. So the key point here is that reliability is the cornerstone of trust. And to earn trust, you must demonstrate the pattern of behavior that reduces that uncertainty. A really great phrase. To build trust, reduce, and at least demonstrate the pattern of behavior reduces uncertainty. This allows customers to be confident and anticipate what you're going to do in the future. And this clearly simply can begin by setting the expectations through things like the brand promise, proactive communications coming in again, transparent policies, and then consistently delivering on the expectations. From an advice point of view, it's about clear, reliable communication, the type that really is setting the experience expectations in place, focusing on them and keeping customer satisfaction and loyalty up, port calls down, is critical to the success in keeping it basic. And then the last bit of analysis here is that in tough economic times, consumers want to stick with brands that they know, Kevin, as they do these brands. So when you're not getting the basics right, trust is being eroded, consumers are going to move from you. Simple as that. Moving to trend 3, feedback falls to a new low. And again, me asking a question to you about, did you send a report to restaurant 1 that failed? If businesses want this robust understanding of people's experience to support their decision making in 2025, they will have to evolve their voice of the consumer program to customer feedback, because this is falling to new lows. Rather than telling a company they've had a bad experience, more and more consumers are saying nothing at all and just getting up and moving and going somewhere else and voting with their wallet, Kevin. How consumers are providing feedback about a bad experience or not. 32% sent feedback directly to the company. 16% posted something about it in social media. 45% told family or friends about it. 22% put a comment or rating about it on a company or third-party rating site. And 24% did not tell anyone about the experience. So really all 30% down, which means that there isn't that much engagement with the organizational brand that's delivering the bad experience. So from a view on the ground point of view, some analysis here is that organizations can no longer rely on a single listening method vis-a-vis surveys, but must maximize the value of each of those data sources available to them, including operational and behavioral data. Some advice here is that brands need to learn to listen even when they aren't asking questions. Pull the reviews, the social data, the calls, the emails, save the moments of asking when it really doesn't in a more structured conversation, and then keep it very short and to the point. Companies not expect everything, but it's definitely expected to show that they are listening and are caring about what they hear, Kevin. And a piece of advice here from one of the analysts is that the more data you can bring into the brand surveys, the better you'll be at accurately understanding your customers' behavior and then knowing how to respond to them.
Great, but I mean, isn't that a point I mean, the reason why feedback falls to new low and people just simply going to someone else is based on the fact that there are brands out there that are exceptional, that are functioning at a higher level, and people are just ending up kind of going, well, I don't want the drama of having to now, comment or have to find somewhere where to comment or but simply just want to go where the next best option is because it's a convenience factor. Like,
I agree. I've just changed my fiber and Wi-Fi network provider. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely piss poor service from brand one. I've been with that brand for, in terms of a mobile provider, 17, 18, 19 years.
Wow.
Fiber provider, 5 years. I'm not even going to bother writing a review. The call center operators have phoned and asked me why when I've cancelled it, and I'm just going, one word, bad service. I'm not even going to send you any further review, just cancel it immediately. And the reality is I've got cancellation notifications, but last night I get a notification that they actually ready to install at my new premise. Okay, there in itself is a disconnect again. So I can guarantee you I'm going to be billed again for the fact that they now think that they still have me as a customer, and I'm going to have another fight.
And Greg, I just want to add to that, from a behavioral perspective, what would be interesting to see is why brands tend to have, it's almost like they have this ego that, because we're making so much money, people, invariably people are going to change service providers, but essentially we make enough money to not really care whether you leave or not.
Now, interesting. I love the fact, because I said to the guy, I just said, you just willingly letting me go now. You actually don't care, to the one call center operator who took the cancellation request. And they just said, well, sorry, sir. Oh, that's it. Done.
Oh, wow.
So they don't give a damn. They're not getting my business. Simple as that.
We should phone one of their marketing guys or one of the chief experience officer and have this conversation with them.
Kevin, they really don't give it to us. They just leading out there, got hundreds of millions of consumers across the continent. What's my little contribution? Anyway, trend 4 is AI hype gives way, and that's skepticism is a really powerful word and something brands really need to be wary of. This is about comfort will increase by highlighting how AI helps, and I think it's important for brands to understand that where they're leaning into AI, they really need to position AI and the intent with AI clearly in the minds of consumers. So again, there's expectation management utilizing this new technology. And it feels like you can't go a day without a brand telling you about the products and services that are now using AI, Kevin. And it's turning consumers off. That's a fact. So over the past 12 months, attitudes towards AI have actually become much more negative, with comfort using AI down by as much as 11 percentage points, and only 1 in 4 trusting organizations use it response. That's a hell of a lot, Kevin. 46% of consumers, only 46, are comfortable using AI going into 2025. Kevin, this is in part due to the concerns about AI replacing a human to connect to. It's a really important point, that, and a concern that has risen over the last 2 years and is now shared by 1 in 2 people. If a business can show consumers the value of this technology, they should see an increase in trust and adoption. Unfortunately, because the notion of AI still has consumers uneasy, openness increases when they can see how it will help them achieve their specific goals. Unfortunately, some brands are just pushing you into a space to engage with bots and things like that, utilizing AI, and that really is pushing consumers away. So rather than focusing on telling consumers about the technology itself, keep it simple and focus on the actual benefits that this technology is going to bring them. And the data here shows that focusing on the outcome will be a far more effective way to build trust and comfort with AI. Consumer sentiment towards AI improves with concrete examples. Here we note that 20% trust organizations generally to use AI responsibly. 46% are comfortable in AI to complete specific tasks. There's a significant difference between the 26 that trust it and the 46% that are comfortable in utilizing AI, Kevin. From a advice and view on the ground review here, we note that use AI with customers when you can explain how and why you're doing so, and why, and at least what they can actually do to switch into that human interface. So bring them into the bot environment, tell them why there's bot enablement up front, and then give them the confidence to go through the system and what they can do when they need to switch to the human interface. Build that relationship, transparency, and choice with your customers rather than trying to impose that set of tools with that. The advice here is helping your human employees do a better job by reducing their admin workload, helping them find better answers, helping them write great responses. This is all where AI can deliver excellent results. Over rotating and using AI to try and deflect customers to self-help services is really a point that is pushing them away, also driving trust down. Customers will interact with AI, but the data trends show that they have low trust and low patience with it. AI and human interaction, I think, really is where the balance comes to play here, Kevin. The advice here is that if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. That's an important point for brands. Companies need to understand the AI strategy and utilization so thoroughly that they can explain it in their customers' terms. Don't talk above or below your customers' expectation. Talk to them in the manner and tone they.
Craig, so the whole AI thing, like I understand the AI kind of helping you respond mostly. I get that, but I'm still struggling with the idea that I have to speak to a machine to understand or like to connect with a brand. Someone actually yesterday, and he might be listening to the show later on. What he's now done is he's taken businesses, he's created a podcast out of AI where these two AIs are actually speaking to each other about someone else's brand, giving insights about someone's brand. And when you listen to it, you can clearly hear, two robots speaking to each other. And I just, there's a disconnect that is clearly there that you just don't get from having a human talk about your brand versus an AI talking about your brand. Because as humans, we know that you've programmed the AI to say the things that they are saying. So you're kind of going, where's the trust? It depletes complete trust there. And I'm like, I don't know if AI is going to work as well as people think it is when it comes to taking over some of that kind of parts of connecting with clients.
And that's why for me, the most important piece of advice here from the view from the ground was the first one that I referenced here. It's about, use AI with customers when you can explain how and why you're doing so, and also what they can do to that human. I don't want to spend 7 minutes in a process and being pushed from one bot chat to the next and the next before I get to talk to a human who in half a minute will help me resolve my issue. It's about building that relationship and take note, choice with your customers rather than imposing that they have to go down an AI-driven bot route for resolution. I don't buy it.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Kevin, jumping into the last trend for today, which is today's consumers want privacy and personalization. And personalizing the experience remains vital, but it mustn't be heavy-handed. Here we note that when it comes to improving the experience at scale, customer feedback, direct, indirect, or behavioral or operational, is worth its weight in gold. And obviously, and having the right data sets in place to extract this information is critical. So the more you know about the preference habits, the better informed your decisions will be to improve that experience. And it's inevitable that, you know, you'll be able to foster kind of long-term loyalty so that it's sticky. But unfortunately, that really is hard to come by these days. Note that 64% of consumers prefer to buy from companies that tailor the experience to their wants and needs. The data has to be there to enable that. Consumers want this personalization, but they also want privacy. So businesses have to find a way to personalize experiences without coming across as heavy-handed or pushy. And failure to do so will inevitably result in consumers withholding their personal information, making it harder for businesses to actually see the fuller picture and develop more of that personalized experience, and will be less effective in enabling decision-making around the brand, Kevin. Some points and percentages on personalization as a differentiator. Key to do it, but tread carefully. 64% of consumers prefer to buy from companies that tailor the experience to their wants and needs, but only 50% are at least 50% are highly concerned about their privacy of their personal information. So when more than 50% of your consumers are still concerned about the privacy, you really got a problem at hand. Yeah. Moving to some of the views on the ground here, from the analysis view, the findings show that regulation can really help provide customers with a balance that they want between personalization and privacy. Obviously, data privacy is really driving a lot of this, which is important and good. From an advice point of view, to navigate the delicate balance, brands must prioritize transparency and control. Here, consumers will be more likely to share their data when they understand why it's needed, and they will have the power to choose what you can hold back, what you're willing to. From an advice point of view, consumers are protective of their personal data while they enjoy personalization where it offers more convenience. There is also the uncanny valley, interesting term, where they feel creeped out by the company seemingly holding too much data on them. And in many instances, it might be better to provide the benefit of personalization, which is built on the premise of accurate segmentation, enhanced service and response, without making the personalization too explicit.
I think creeped out is a good way to...
No, it's a wonderful term of phrase that, Kevin. This uncanny valley where they feel creeped out by a company seemingly holding too much data on them. So it's almost like they got you against the wall because now they know as much as they can and need to about you.
Yeah, I know, it's quite concerning, actually.
So lovely end phrase relative to that point is that when balancing competition requirements of personalization, privacy concerns, and the cost of serving, the goal is to find that sweet spot with your customers, not for them. And I like that, with your customers, for them. Co-create experiences centered around the moments that matter to build these human connections and identify when self-service is preferable. Test prototypes with different customer segments and personas and pilot with a diverse audience to avoid unintended creep factors. Engage with your data security teams early and often. Yeah, really important paragraph and a lovely end to trend 5, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. I love that.
So yeah, in closing from my side, I think it's important to note two paragraphs from the Qualtrics 2025 Consumer Trends Report, which notes the following. Our findings lay bare the effects of less money in consumers, a hyper-competitive landscape, and a continual decline of customer feedback. In summary, loyalty is harder won and more easily lost in 2025, with companies increasingly blind to the cause of customer friction. Building loyalty starts with building trust, the foundation of this conversation. It's foundational to the lasting connections that most successful organizations are built on. To earn this trust, customer experience leaders will need to develop a deeper understanding of their consumers, which will allow them to make these confident decisions that improve the experience and consistently meet customer expectations. In today's environment, customer experience is a strategic business asset. And that's it from my side.
Yeah, Craig, I love that. And I think what's nice about this report is that there's, the biggest one that stands out is back to basics.
Yes.
Consumers are clear, and back to basics are what we need as consumers. And I think, when you start there and you understand the importance of it, other things start falling into place systematically. but yeah, such a nice report and insights on how to, what the trends are looking for 2025. So a nice quote that I found here from Theodore Roosevelt says, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care."
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Applicable to to brands as well.
Very, very much so. And that leads directly into the trust conversation, Kevin.
Absolutely. Please remember to like and share and tune into the Lunchtime Series every Wednesday and Thursday. For myself and Craig, have a fantastic week. Craig, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week for the last
show of 2024. Yeah, looking forward to that, Kevin. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. You too.